closer I get, you're wasting your time. The more you ignore me.
Welcome back to The Five. We've got a couple things we want to talk about. First, we love to talk about the media and the media's coverage of other things and of itself. In this particular one, Greg, since you had a gag on in the first block, I wanted to go to you first for this one, which is there a double standard when it comes to the media covering certain stories? For example, why is the Bain Capital attacks on Bain Capital from President Obama getting so much attention, and yet when the Catholic Church decides to sue the administration on something that would be a fundamental change in our laws and our history, there's absolutely zero coverage of it on the nightly news?
Well, the media hates talking about religion because it's competition. I mean, if you believe in God, how can you believe in Brian Williams? You know, and
they're not the same?
Yeah, some people believe that. The Democrats' worst nightmare is if somebody translates this lawsuit into Spanish, because then you're going to have a Hispanic backlash. That's what they fear.
But I'm sort of curious about this. I understand the Bain attacks because that is what President Obama has been pushing, and then Romney is running on his record as a job creator, and so I could see where they'll get some attention. Though in many ways, Eric, don't you think that it's backfired on President Obama this week?
The Bain stuff?
Yes.
You know how we talked about it a little bit, the old release the rabbit?
Yep.
The analogy is the White House releases a rabbit and the media chases it because they want to take the attention off of what's really bad in the economy. Things aren't working, jobs aren't coming back. So they released this rabbit, the Bain Capital rabbit, but the rabbit turned around and ran right back in the White House.
Oh, yeah, it's the boomerang rabbit.
Yeah, it was a rabbit that came back.
But it's weird. Whenever anybody releases a rabbit in front of you, you just get on your hands and knees and eat it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's good. Rare rabbit.
Where did the Bain Capital come back? He's been on the defense of Romney on Bain Capital for 2 weeks. When did he come back?
Because it came back when we realized that President Obama, not only one of his 35 national co-chairs is a private equity guy. There's the guy, Jonathan Levine, who's at Bain Capital, was actually at DST Steel when it went under, not Mitt Romney. I mean, these things
I've tried to explain
coming.
this.
He's actually taken Bain money and he won't give it back.
These private equity guys give to both sides all the time because they have no anything. They don't believe in anything.
So then that makes it okay.
But can we get back to the topic we're talking about here?
On Catholics?
Yes, on Catholics. I will actually bring it back to that. First of all, it was not the Catholic Church that sued. The churches have been absolved from this use of contraceptives. But it's been Catholic institutions like churches and things like that. Now,
just not you. It's not a question of use of contraceptives. It's a question of providing it for free.
Okay, providing. Okay, now, the churches have been absolved from that. The Catholic Church or anybody else who doesn't believe in it, who's a church institution. Now we're talking about institutions like Catholic hospitals or Catholic schools or something like that, right? Of which 11, I think, of hundreds of thousands have joined a lawsuit here, most of which have been led by, frankly, Tony Perkins, a bunch of right-wing fundamentalists. And my question really is, what's the big news story? Why cover it?
It's
Andrea,
43,
could you please explain that? Why it's a big story?
The Catholic Church has never, which is one of the largest charities in the country, has never done anything like this in the history of the Catholic Church, which is why it's a big news story. And I want to point out, too, the hypocrisy, Dana, to get back to your point on the media. The mainstream media, the broadcast networks have been silent on this for 4 days. And instead of covering this story, do you know what they decided to cover? CBS Evening News did cover the Catholic Church, but instead, predator priests. Yes, they talked about Catholic sex abuse in Philadelphia and a massive supposed cover-up. ABC and NBC are silent, and NPR, all things considered, did a long 5-minute piece on predator priests. Not one mention, Dana, not one about this lawsuit, which is historical.
You don't think predator priests are a much more important story and for the good of our children than
think about if a religious organization would have sued the Bush organization, the Bush administration.
Can we get this clear? No church has sued here.
Okay, look, it's the two largest U.S. archdioceses, though, joining with Notre Dame University.
Yeah, but they're not suing. They're not churches suing.
Here's what it is, Bob. They are objecting to what they see as an assault on their First Amendment rights. That is significant to me. They're saying that the President of the United States is denying their First Amendment rights. That is that I can't.
What if it were Muslim-affiliated organizations? How would this be treated by the media?
Well,
we would be seen as Islamophobic if our government forced them to serve pork in their cafeteria or have the sexes sit together in a certain place.
President of the United States, it's a law that is.
But
it's the president's signature law.
Here's the issue: they're suing on the constitutionality of doing this, right? So why wouldn't the media be covering this? Because anytime you deal with an assault on the Constitution, it's just me, but I think it's just me, but I think it should be covered at least by the media.
You've been to a Catholic hospital, right?
I have.
All right, I would say a significant percentage, non-majority maybe, are not Catholics. Do they not have a right to have contraception?
Well, I'm not going to go on your
but that's crazy.
Why?
If you're providing the care, and if your religious beliefs ascribe certain things, if you come to me for help and I help you, then I shouldn't be made to do something just because you want a certain thing. Go somewhere else.
Maybe I want free scotch at my hospital.
Yeah.
That's part of my religious belief.
There's free will in this country. You can go to other places. And the point, too, is they've asked for a carve-out. They've asked for an exemption from the administration, and though they've given them to their buddies at the unions and other places, they refuse to give them to these religious
organizations. It's
a huge affront to the First Amendment, Bob, and you know it. As a Christian, you should be more out.
I think there's a dark underbelly here of concern for the Democrats.
I think the Republicans are trying to make this into a Catholic versus Obama issue, and I think it's crazy.
All right.
Well himself.
Yeah, I mean, who started it? All right, coming up, Maxine Waters makes some, imagine, ugly allegations about the Tea Party.
Because they came with a mean spirit, and now they want to cut the food stamps.
But we're going to tell you about a food stamp fraud investigation that might put some things in perspective when we come back.
I just can't go.